it's not going to save the economy. Mitch, can you explain and articulate a little bit better than me on how even if they start printing money again and dropping interest rates, that may not be enough to save our incredibly toxic consumer-driven economy?
The answer would be compound cumulative debt and then compound cumulative interest on that debt. If the Fed starts printing money again, there's an extraordinarily high probability that we will end up in a greater depression. The money that's out there now, we've already proven, give or take, that it's about $5 trillion in school district bond fraud that is floating out there on Wall Street. And they keep raising bonds, not to pay down any principal of the prior bonds, but to pay for the interest on the compound cumulative effect of holding those bonds because they didn't pay them down. In other words, it's the absolute definition of a Ponzi scheme. The school districts are the taxing entities. The taxing entities are the purveyors of the fraud at a local level. And the central appraisal districts, which are owned by the school districts, are the ones that are doing the overvaluation and overtaxation to create the taxes and the revenue necessary to pay for the compound cumulative effect of the bonds. Again, it's a Ponzi scheme. It's a fraud. There simply isn't any money to pay it off. Printing more money at the Federal Reserve on the Fed side of the balance sheet is going to be a disaster. The Federal Reserve needs to be shut down. They are the purveyors of, on the federal side, of all of this nonsense, and the local taxing entities on the state side are the purveyors of the fraud at the state level, both of which have to go because mom and pop don't have the money. We've proven it. And coincidentally, just this morning, we also sent out another email to a district head of the DOJ to state the exact same thing on the criminal complaint that we sent to Pam Bondi. The facts are the facts. Nobody has been able to argue against these facts yet. And then we learned early this morning about an Ohio Supreme Court law, where they have already deemed the real estate taxes to be basically illegal. They use several terms, but the bottom line is they've deemed it to be illegal. And they got into it from a civil side where they said, well, certain stratas of society are being taken advantage of. Here's the point. The attorneys in 3 of those cases in Ohio, not one of those attorneys used the math. They didn't even know about USPAP. So they made arguments. Now they got where they wanted to go for their purposes, but the truth of the matter is the school districts that are raising these bonds have got to be shut down. It's not that the school district itself, but the bonds are fraudulent. So all of this has to be curbed. There is no other solution but the elimination of the real estate tax in favor of the uniform states sales tax. It's all tied.
I'm going to reiterate what you said because I thought it's very powerful, and I hope the viewers got this. Mitch has said that if they print more money, it could very well lead to a Great Depression. And his point is because who's going to pay that money back? Someone's got to pay that money back, and it can't be my children's children. I mean, my children's children are already taxed to death. I mean, they can't even live a good life. I have $1.3 million worth of tax liability on me. When I count my wife, because she's a taxpayer too, Mitch, then I have what, 2.6 million? Are you freaking kidding me? We need to unwind is the point. So it needs to be unwind, not the can kick down the road and the bubble gets even bigger.